Hi, I'm Kathy. Today I want to start a four-part series on layered curriculum. I've had a lot of questions again about where do you begin, how do you put a lesson plan together. So today we're going to start with our very first in this four-part series. How do you start with a layered curriculum unit? The way that I'm going to start is I'm going to take the layered curriculum workbook, and in the very back of the workbook there's a lesson planning sheet, and if you have the workbook you're welcome to make copies of that. So that's what I've done, is I've made a copy of the lesson planning sheet so that I can write right on here and make my lesson plan on the planner sheet here. We're going to start today with just the C layer. I'm going to start very simply by taking my textbook and flipping to the chapter that we're going to cover this week. And it just so happens that this week we're starting on the chapter on vascular plants. So to get some ideas on my C layer objectives are just very basic types of things that we need the kids to learn. And I'm going to get ideas just by going through the textbook. My textbook has little section objectives written off into the margin. So I can look through these objectives and see if it gives me some ideas for teaching objectives that I can put in my C layer in particular, and sometimes in my other layers. So I look through here. The first one says list the basic plant structures that vascular and non-vascular plants have in common. Right off the bat, that gives me actually a B layer assignment idea. So I'm going to write that down because we're going to do B layer next week. But it talks about comparing vascular to non-vascular, and we just happen to have covered non-vascular in our last unit. So that's going to be a great topic for our B layer, as we're going to compare this unit to last unit. So I'm just going to make a little note to myself that that will be a really good idea for our B layer. Okay, let me finish looking through here. Describe the vascular system of plants. Okay, that's a real straightforward objective. So let's go ahead and use that. So that's my objective right here in the C layer. Objective number 1, I'm going to list describe the vascular system of plants. So I write that down. And that's going to be my first objective. Explain how vascular plants show adaptations to life on land. Oh, that's another great one I want. Adaptations to life on land. So when plants moved to land, what did they have to do to survive land life versus ocean life? Name the dominant generation in the life cycle of vascular plants. I'm not going to list that. That's a very minor thing that we'll cover. The next objective talks about whisks, ferns, and the life cycle of club mosses. That's not in my state objectives. We're not even really going to cover that section, so I'm going to skip right over that. Let me go to the next section here. Seed plants. Identify the parts of a seed. That's a major objective for this unit. So I'm going to list that as my third objective. Name 3 ways in which seeds increase the adaptability of vascular plants. List the similarities and differences between gymnosperms and angiosperms. That's another key thing. So we want to do something about comparing gymnosperms and angiosperms. So that's going to be my fourth objective. And monocots and dicots, that's another one. What's the difference between a monocot and a dicot? That's an important C layer objective for this unit. Summarize the economic and ecological importance of angiosperms. That gives me an A layer idea. So again, I'm going to make a note here for my A layer so that when I get to that, that's going to be a neat one. We can look at economic issues, where these things play into it. Okay, flipping through to the last section. I had something about carbon. I thought I saw something in here. Well, that was something I was going to put in the A layer, so we'll get to that later anyway. Okay, so I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main objectives here for my C layer. I'll just start with this second one here. Discuss how vascular plants have adapted to life on land. What I need to do now is come up with some assignment choices for how students can master that learning objective. So how could they learn about plant adaptations for life on land? Well, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking this is something that would be, you could write on that. You could write on how they've adapted to it. So maybe I've got a kid that would like to write a little essay or a report, so I can list that as one assignment choice. I can also see this as a visual. Maybe I could have kids make a little bulletin board, like a giant display, like a large poster on bulletin board paper. So we could make a bulletin board maybe with a partner to explain that, how plants have adapted to life. I also have some ancillary materials that came with this textbook that we're using, so I could maybe put a little worksheet packet together if they wanted to go through those. Okay, there it is. I've got 3 choices for this objective. Now I can go again to my next one, identify the parts of a seed. Here again, come up with 2 or 3 ways where students could learn the parts to a seed. I do have ancillary worksheets on this, but I think I'll leave those out on this unit. I know there's a really neat little internet site that has a quiz, and the kids can just keep quizzing themselves against that until they get a passing score. So I can use that as an assignment choice. I also have a video, a real short little video clip, and they can take some notes on that, and I've got a little sheet that goes with that. So that's another choice that they could do for identifying the parts to a seed. This is how I'm going to put my seed layer together. I come up with my basic objectives that I need the kids to learn, come up with a couple of assignment choices as to how they learn them. Now, when we present this to the students, as we'll see a couple weeks from now, we can either do it in a daily method, which is every day the whole class is working on the same objective, or we can do a traditional method where I let them work on whichever one they want at their leisure and their choice. But we'll sort of get into that. For the starting, we always start with the daily method. So each day, the whole class will pick a learning objective and then we'll work on that together. Next week, we're going to look at B-layer assignments. For more information, you can take a look at the textbook, you can take a look at the workbook, or you can go to brains.org.